Hi guys, good morning. It's having some technical difficulties, but I think we're okay. So today is Monday morning, November 18th, 2024, and we are smack in the middle of the greatest story Hashem ever told. Just gonna give it a minute for some people. Oh, hey Karina. Hi girl. Hi Ray. Hi Tammy. Hi guys. Thank you so much for coming. What a privilege for us to sit and learn Torah on a Monday morning to start off our week. And I have such good stuff to read to you guys from Rabbi Goes On. Such good stuff. Wait till you're here. Okay, we got 7 people. That's pretty good. Hey, Chase. Hey, Sydney. Oh, gosh. I got my people. Okay, guys. So, oh, gosh. It's been such an emotional roller coaster. Those who know, the ups and downs of the throes of Yemos HaMashiach, which is what we are smack in the middle of. And, yesterday I had the experience of trying to present the information to somebody and wasn't received the way I was hoping, and it's okay. And I had the realization that we are a small group. Rav Kaduri didn't say there's going to be a medium-sized group or even a large-sized group. He said it's going to go from the small group, from phase 2 to phase 3, which is a revelation to the world, which is a pretty big leap. And I don't know how or when or the mechanism of how that's going to happen, but I am so happy to be here and sitting in the sweet spot of who knows how long, however long it lasts, of this phase. Just have to remind myself just to enjoy every phase of Mashiach as it comes in. So sweet. It's to be cherished. It's to be cherished. So I woke up this morning with like kind of twinges of that disappointed feeling, but also elation. And the trick right now is to be able to have the vessel, the kli to hold many emotions at once, to hold many on the spectrum of all the emotions, to be able to hold them all at once and sit in them and just feel them. Don't let them feel you. I wanted to jump right in. I also heard the birds this morning. There was like a whole, I can't even explain it. There was like a whole choir of birds right outside my window just like 10 minutes ago. And I was like, oh, thank you, Hashem. That sounds so nice. So the birds also brought me tremendous comfort. Okay, let's jump right in, you guys, to the learning, because there's a lot to cover today. Let us begin with Rabbi Moshe Miller, Alav Shalom, the Zohar on Shir HaShirim. Chase, you got your book, Chase? You got your book out? We are starting on page 251, chapter 6 of Shir HaShirim, the holy Shir HaShirim, written by Shlomo HaMelech, a love song from Hashem to the Jewish people. The 6th chapter of Shir HaShirim is about the time of exile and the time of the final redemption, and the contrast between the two periods when we are on the fence, we're on the threshold between those two periods, literally going to jump from one to the next. We're in the last minutes of the exile. Illumination and redemption come about through elevating sparks of holiness, through unification of the Shema prayer, and through fulfilling mitzvot. This revelation, it comes to us from the highest level, which is called Atik Anpin. The pasuk says, the first verse in chapter 6, Anna halach dodech hayafa panashem, Anna pana dodech unevakshenu imach. Where has your beloved gone, O fairest among women? Where did your beloved turn? With you we will seek the one for whom you yearn. What does this pasuk mean? When the Jewish people are in exile, in foreign lands, we address the Shekhinah with this. What does Israel, the Jewish people, say to her, to the Shekhinah? Where has your beloved gone, O fairest among women? In exile, the Shekhinah, which is represented by Malchus, is not in a state of yichud with her beloved Zeir Anpin. As the pasuk in Zechariah implies when it describes the future, when the Shekhinah and the transcendent, all-encompassing divine reality, the Zeir Anpin right above her, will be understood as one. Liachid Shchinte, how does that go? Liachid Kodesh, I can't, in Aramaic, to unite the Kudusha Brichu and the Shchinte. That's what we always say in the Yehi Ratzon before certain brachas. We say Liachid Kudusha Brichu and Shchinte. Reality will be understood as one. God will be king over all the land. On that day, God will be one, and his name Malchus will be one. Zechariah 14:9. The Gemara asks, is it the case then that nowadays he and his name are not one? The Gemara then goes on to offer several explanations of how this is indeed so from our perspective. Where did your beloved turn? With you we will seek the one for whom you yearn. With you we will seek the one from whom you yearn. To reunite HaKadosh Baruch Hu with the Shekhinah. How? By beseeching him with many prayers, by fulfilling the mitzvah of tzitzis and tefillin, by observing Shabbos and Yontif. Regarding these, the pasuk states, between me and the Jewish people, beini ubein bnei Yisrael, oshi liolam. Shmos 31:17. There are three mitzvahs described as eternal signs of the covenant between Hashem and the Jewish people. The sign of the bris milah, the signs of Shabbos and Yontif, and the signs of Tefillin. In reference to these, the pasuk states, regarding these, every pious person will pray at opportune times. Tehillim 32:6. Tikkun Zohar then goes on to explain that heartfelt prayer and fulfilling mitzvos, what do? They restore the Shekhinah to her proper place. I'm just going to close my window because they're doing construction next door and I'm hearing the hammering. It's messing me up in the head. All right. Page 254. Dodi yarad legano la'arugos habosem. My beloved went down to his garden, to the fragrant spices in beds. Liros baganim velilkot shoshanim. To tend to those in the gardens and to collect roses there. On the words, and to collect roses there. Come and see. Techazeh. Chanoch, our boy Chanoch. Of course I'm going to read something about Chanoch. Come and see. Chanoch, the great-grandfather of Noach, was a worthy and sin-free person. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw that he would eventually transgress because of the very unfavorable spiritual stature of his generation. So Hashem gathered him in before he could sin. This is the meaning of our pasuk, Lilkot Shoshanim, to gather the roses, which refer to Chanoch. Because Chanoch gave off a scent pleasing to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem plucked him before he would give off a stench, the stench of sin. This is why the pasuk states, and Chanoch walked with Hashem, and then he was no more, for Hashem had taken him, Bereshis 5:24. He was no more means that he did not live the lifespan of the rest of the mankind at those times, for they had extended lifespans. Why did he not live as long as most of his generation? Because Hashem took him before his time. Page 267. Achas hi yonasi tamasi achas hi le'ima. Barahi lioladata ra'uha baneha v'yashruha malachos upilakshem bihalaluha. One is she, my dove, my perfect one. There is no other from her mother. She is pure to the one who bore her. Daughters look at her and laud her. Royal offspring and consorts applaud her. Rabbi Yitzchak said, when the soul is found worthy of entering through the gates of Yerushalayim up above, the central place of worship in Gan Eden, the great Malach Michael comes to greet that soul and accompany it through the gates and into the city, so to speak. Other ministering malachim express their amazement at that soul for having purified itself sufficiently to enter that lofty level of Gan Eden. And they ask, but who is this? Ascending from the wilderness. Shir 3:6. Who is this ascending from among those on high, from a dried out corpse, like a puff of nothingness? And he, the Malach Michael, responds and says, Achas hi yonasi tamasi. One is she, my dove, my perfect one. One is she means she is completely dedicated. An alternative translation of Achas, he, one is she to her mother, the Kisei HaKavod, the Shechina, which is the mother of the soul to whom she gave birth, because the soul descends to earth from the Kisei HaKavod. Daughters look at her and laud her. This refers to the other souls that are also on that level, who are called daughters of Yerushalayim. And they utter the praises of the soul that ascends among them to join them there. Rabbi Yossi said, when the pasuk states royal offspring and consorts applaud her, Vayashru hamalachos upilak sheviyahalaluha. The explanation is this: royal offspring are the avos, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, for they were indeed royalty. And the consorts, who are the consorts? The Pilak Shem refers to righteous converts. All of them praise and laud her, the soul of a tzaddik that ascends to their place. For when a soul enters Yerushalayim above, that soul is in a state of excellence or perfection, and there it resides forever. Zohar 1:125b, Medrash Ne'elamim. Now I have to close the shade. Okay. How you guys doing? Hi, Ruthie. Next. Oh, I wanted to read one more thing about Yonasi Tamasi. That's like one of my favorite psukim. I'm going to go back to chapter 5, page 208. Ani yashena v'libi er. Kol, I am asleep, but my heart is awake. Kol dodi dofek. Listen to these words. The voice of my beloved is knocking at the door. Kol dodi dofek. Pischi li, open for me. Achosi, rayasi, yonasi, tamasi. My sister, my beloved, my dove, my perfect one. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. I have to read this to you from last chapter. Page 209, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Allah Shalom. He said, before the time when the morning light begins to rise, before dawn, the darkness becomes more intense and the blackness of night reigns. It is then, during the third and last section of the night, that Malchus chats with her husband. She communes with the divine revelation of Zeir Anpin, as we have learned in Brachos 3b. She enters Hashem, the Kadosh Baruch Hu's chamber, to commune with him in the secret of Yichud. Then towards the end of day, when the sun is about to set in the west, when the night Malchus comes and takes the light of Zeir Anpin, the sun, Since Malchus, the moon, has no light of its own, all of its light is from the sun. At that time, all the gates are closed, and no flow of light illuminates those down below. The donkey brays and the dog barks, symbols of negative forces. But at midnight, when the king, who is there Anpin, begins to awaken, and the queen, who is Malchus, begins to sing his praises, then the king comes knocking at the door of her chamber, saying, "Open for me." See, the king comes to her. Open for me. And he relates to her in 4 different ways. My sister, corresponding to the Yud in the Shem Havaya, and the 4 in the tetragram name. My beloved, corresponding to the Hey in the Shem Havaya. My dove, corresponding to the Vav. My one without flaw, my perfect one, corresponding to the Hey in the name in the Shem Havaya. It is at that time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu delights in the souls of tzaddikim. This is the Zohar 2:46a. Woo! That is so romantic. Okay. Hashem comes to her. In the end, Hashem comes to her. The last thing I want to read in chapter 6. Let me see. What time is it? Okay, we have time. I'm going to read 2 more things. Page 270. Mizos hanishkafa kamo shachar. Yafa kalavana bara kachama ayuma kanid galos. Who is this? Mizos, that appears like the dawn, beautiful as the moon, clear as the sun, like the troops of malachim, awe-inspired. Rabbi Yehuda began explaining our pasuk. Who is this? Mizos hanishkafa. Who is this that appears like the dawn? Is referring to the Jewish people when HaKadosh Baruch Hu will fulfill his promise and take us out of exile. At the dawn of final redemption, he will open the gate of light just a crack. Afterward, he will open it more until the gates are open in all 4 directions. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said, who is this that appears like the dawn, beautiful as the moon, clear as the sun? The pasuk asks, Mizos, who is this? These 2 words, this is what Garment taught me. This is one of his first teachings to me. Mi bara elah. Mizos. These 2 words. This is where the Zohar is like, who's on first? You guys remember the Abbott and Costello? Who's on first? What's on second? And it could drive you nuts. You have to be able to decode Zohar just by the word who. The Torah is never asking a question. The Torah is always making a statement. Remember that. When they say who, they're actually telling you who it is. So who is me? Mizos. Okay, to decode me. Me is always Bina. Okay, that's me. I'm not reading. That's me telling you that. Let me just read inside. Let me finish reading. Mizos alludes to the secret of the 2 worlds that join as one. Regarding the pasuk, from this world to the world to come, Mei ha'olam v'ad ha'olam, Tehillim 106:48. The word me, we already alludes to the upper supernal level called Ima Ila'a, or Bina. Who is always Bina? Write that down. Who is always Bina, the sphere of Bina. Who, it is called who since it is the first partsuf that is so lofty it is generally not known but can be asked about. The simple meaning of who is to ask who is that. Nevertheless, the question cannot be answered in depth since we do not have the wherewithal to describe the essence of Bina, but only the activities that derive from her. As the pasuk in Yeshayahu 40:26 says, raise your eyes on high and see who created these things, mi bara elah. In other words, Bina was their source, but we cannot know the essence of that source, only what emerges from it. Referring to the 6 spheros, Eila, of Zeir Anpin. However, Zos, okay, whenever you see Zos, write this down. Me is Bina, and Zos is Malchus, is us. Zos is the lower level, the lower world, the revealed world that can be comprehended and is therefore referred to Zos, this. Nevertheless, these two worlds are bound together as one. Malchus and Bina, the mother and the daughter. When the lower aspect of the higher world is invested in the higher aspect of the lower world, they can form a single bond. These are big concepts, you guys. This is the decode, the highest decode, where Hashem's Torah starts to undress itself for you. Okay, the last thing I want to read inside this book before we get to the notes of Rabbi Gozlan is on page 275. El Ginas Egos, to the nut garden, the nut garden. Yerada Lir Os B'ibe Hanachal, to see the trees by the stream. Lir Os Haparcha Hagefen, to see if the vine is in bloom. Heidnetzu Harimonim, did the pomegranates begin to plume? Tikkun Zohar, page 275. Tikkun Zohar discusses the nature of the future redemption and how it will differ from the previous ones. Hi, Hiroko. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Allison. Hey, Irma. Several souls in the guise of wise old men came to reveal the secrets of Torah to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. The third of these wise old souls spoke up and said, "Come and see." Techazeh. When her, the Shekhinah's beloved, who is Zeir Anpin, this is the couple, the Shekhinah and the Zeir Anpin, he will tell the two anointed ones, Mashiach ben David and Mashiach ben Yosef, let us go early to the vineyards in order to redeem the Jewish people from exile. About them, the pasuk states in Yeshayahu 5:7, the vineyards of God, the Lord of hosts, the house of Israel. The purpose of this is to see if the vine is in bloom. What does that mean? To see if the Shekhinah has bloomed among the Jewish people as a result of our good deeds. That's what it means if the vine is in bloom. And what does it mean if the pomegranates began to plume? This refers to those who have not been very diligent in observing mitzvos, but are nevertheless as full of good deeds as a pomegranate is full of seeds. As our sages noted in the Gemara, even the sinners among the Jewish people, even the sinners, are as full of good deeds as a pomegranate is full of seeds. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai rose, stood up, and said, venerable sage, you cited the pasuk, let us go early to the vineyards, referring to the vineyards owned by the Jews and representing the Jewish people, but there are vineyards that do not belong to Israel. As the Shekhinah herself states in the pasuk, they set me to guard their vineyard, but my own I did not oversee. The Shekhinah tended and enriched the vineyards of others, but she did not take care of her own vineyard, the Jewish people, who received only the leftovers after all the nations of the world had taken the lion's share. This is due to the admixture of the Erev Rav, the mixed multitude, other nations who were also enslaved in Egypt, together with the Jewish people, and who fled Egypt with us. Moshe Rabbeinu, what did he do? He allowed them to join the Jewish people, but they caused endless problems. The same issue continued later with the admixture of other nations during the exile of the Jewish people. Therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will come to the Shekhinah in the future, in the period just before the final redemption. And Hashem will say to her, Let us go. Let us go early to the vineyard and see if the vine is in bloom, whether the vines have been prevented from blossoming because of the presence of the YIRAH, and whether we have succeeded in planting vineyards that have remained faithful to Hashem. Regarding which the pasuk states, "For the house of Israel is the vineyard of the Lord of hosts." Gosh, this is so intense. That the pomegranates begin to bloom refers to those full of mitzvahs. I've got to get myself together. Okay. Okay. All right, Chase, I need you to take over. Who could take over the reading? Okay. They fulfill as many of the Torah's mitzvahs as they can, as a pomegranate is full of seeds. There among them I will place my beloved ones, tzaddikim, who serve me out of love. There I will place them for your sake, for the sake of the Shekhinah. For they will be the ones that tzaddikim will accompany the Shekhinah out of exile. My nose is running. I got no tissues. Okay. Okay, the tzaddikim will be the ones to accompany the Shekhinah out of exile when the winter is past. Hasasav Avar, alluding to the dominance of the guardian malachim of the nations, who will cease. Rabbi Gozlan always talks about this. The Sarim will cease their control with the advent of the Messianic era, when the rain is over and gone. Hageshem halach, shalach halaf. The rain is over and gone. Bakol hator nishma b'arsenu means when the dominant influence of the YIRAH will cease. This is Tikkunei HaZohar 144a. Okay, I think I'm better. Okay, you guys, let's read the notes. Thank you for hanging on with me. It's just, as I read it to you guys, it comes to life so intensely. Okay, Rabbi goes on. This is class number 6 on Shir HaShirim. It was given April 26th, the day after my birthday, 2020. In the heart of the throes of the pandemic, Rabbi Gozlan begins by saying, if we do Kabbalistic meditations, keep Shabbos, daven with kavana, eat kosher, keep holidays, study Zohar at Chatzos, ascend in our marital relationship, everything that he has been teaching the past few years, what will happen? We will come into a vibrational symbiosis with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Vibrational symbiosis, I love those two words, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Our soul and our soul's vibration and the vibration of HaKadosh Baruch Hu will harmonize with each other. And the prize will be the prize of love. And that's what I titled this class, because what better prize could there be? The prize of love that will be granted by the eternal. Rabbi Gozlan said, it is immeasurably enormous, the prize of love that is waiting for all of us at the end of all this. The decodes of Shir HaShirim say that foreigners will come. He calls them foreigners, I'm not sure what that means, but foreigners will come from a much lower vibrational level, and they will work for you so you can be free. To free up your time in the Yemos HaMashiach to do what? To dedicate yourself full time to glorifying Hashem's name. And Garment of Esav, my friend Shaul, he speaks about this concept all the time, that whatever station you're at, you're going to be upgraded, but not all of us are going to be on the same level. So Rabbi Gozlani said the same thing 4 years ago. He said, the people in the higher evolutionary phase of things will spend their entire time spreading the secrets of heaven. He said, this is a great secret. The most evolved of people will have access to more time, and those people still in the process of evolution are going still to work. But what are they going to do? They're going to work in support of those who already have reached a higher state of evolution. But everyone will go up a notch. All of creation, every plant, animal, angel, every being goes up a notch. It will experience an evolutionary leap. And Hashem will be proud of each of us, just like a father is proud of every child, no matter their level. Hashem will be proud of each child according to his abilities. The Torah is called, this is the next concept, the Torah is called Oz. Doing Kabbalistic meditations with the Shemos, the names of Hashem, and Yichudim, interbreeding them, weaving them together, is a healing force. And it will give you a strong body and inner peace. The study of Zohar brings peace to the four worlds and reconnects our physical world to the upper worlds. Malchus gets plugged back in like a phone charger, gets plugged back in. The Kuchibrichu and the Shrinte come into Yichud. And we create the Yichud by saying Shema with Kavanah. There's many different ways, but also doing Kabbalistic meditations and integrating the names that correspond up there with the names that correspond down here. Rabbi Gozlan, any of his classes, at the end of his class, you could have yourself a 10-minute meditation that he will walk you through. The gematria of Limud Torah is HaTeshuvah. Once you study the depths of Torah, you start to feel compelled to keep the mitzvos. And it's true, because you start to understand the energetic reasons for the mitzvahs, and they just become brand new. When you study Kabbalah, when you study the deep secrets of Torah, the reciprocal bond of love between you and Hashem becomes very strong. Hashem offered the Torah to all of the world, but they said no. Now the Jewish people have taken it and decoded it. We've spent a lot of time doing this. We've decoded it, and we are offering it to everyone equally in the whole world. And what is the Torah? The Torah is the antidote to all the evils of humanity. Rabbi Gozlan said there are two ways of studying Torah that protects people from the aggressions of this world. One way is the literal way, without all the decodes, to learn it on the intellectual level and the mental level of keeping the Torah and mitzvos. But this, he said, doesn't penetrate to the soul. The second way is to study the Torah, including the secrets, with the meditations. This connects a person with the love of Hashem, removes our doubts, and fills us with vitality and self-esteem. Because what? We discover something. We discover that we have a divine spark. And this inspires us to keep the mitzvos, the precepts of the Torah, in relationship with Hashem and receive blessings. The Zohar gives us purpose and gives us merit. We were told that the reason for the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, of the second temple, was sinas chinam, baseless hatred. He said, this isn't true. Rabbi Gozlan reveals a major secret. This isn't the reason. It's not sinas chinam. The real reason is the second temple, the temples were destroyed because Kabbalah ceased to be learned. Kabbalah, the study of Kabbalah was interrupted. He said sinas chinam was just a consequence of that. It was just a result of Kabbalah not being learned. Why? Because Kabbalah generates a tender heart. Kabbalah takes you from a hard heart to a tender heart, from a corazón duro to a corazón tierno. You hear that, Ruthie? Study of Zohar makes you wiser than your enemies. Study of Zohar makes you able to overcome your own enemy inside, the evil inclination. And in reality, said Rabbi Gozlan, we are not learning the Zohar, we are just remembering it. That's why it's so precious, because you find something that you lost. Your soul is finding something that it lost. Rabbi Gozlan, at all of humanity, not just the Jewish people. Rabbi Gozlan said, when we left Egypt, Jews had a purification phase followed by a miracles phase. Rabbi Gozlan said that this pandemic, and he's speaking in 2020, April of 2020, he said this pandemic feels like the purification phase that is leading to the miracle phase. And I might add that this election was the onset of the miracle phase. Trump getting back in office took us out of the purification phase, and we are entering the miracle phase. That's just my intuition. I think you guys might agree. We evolve two ways, says Rabbi Gozlan, either over time, which can take centuries or millennia, or through the study of Zohar, Kabbalistic meditations with Yichudim, which will catapult our growth and shorten our blindness. Now he went into the question-answer phase, preguntas. One question came in. Adam and Chava were supposed to wait to eat from the tree. The question was, what would have changed to allow them to be able to eat from that tree? Right? And we learned that they waited 6 more hours, guys. Remember, 6 hours of no matter what. 6 hours, whatever happens in this world, whatever comes to shake us, whatever comes to test us, we still have to tikkun those 6 hours. Or maybe the 6 millennia already did that. I don't know. But no matter what, keep it in the back of your mind and say, no matter what, have the certainty and say, no matter what, I'm going to hold steady. Because also the 6 hours came back around, we learned, during the golden calf, when Moshe was supposed to return from the mountain. They didn't wait that 6 hours again. They lost it. Rabbi Gozlan answered her, a soldier who has a highly specialized piece of weaponry, but he isn't ready to use it, can generate tremendous harm. And guys, this is massive. What I'm about to tell you is so massive. It's so massive. Pay attention. Rabbi Gozlan said, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. What was it? What Was it? What the heck was it? What was it? The tree of the knowledge of good and evil is the body, the body, the body. Rabbi Gozlan said, we took on a body, which is a specialized piece of weaponry, without being ready. Because this machine that is our body is extraordinary machinery. Why? Because this body has the gift to materialize our thoughts through speech. But without sufficient maturity, it's like a machine gun in the hands of a child. Without sufficient maturity, we create chaos. He said, our body is much more than we think it is. We had not yet reached a state of spiritual maturity to handle having a body yet. It is not bad to have a body. The body is an extraordinary machine, but when used incorrectly, it generates chaos, terrorism, hatred. When we become in control of this body, we will generate only goodness, only peace, only well-being for everyone. We had not received sufficient maturity to be put into this body. We put it on prematurely. Next thought. The Torah has codes in it that no human being can even conceive of, like a crossword puzzle, where all the events of the world appear in secret codes, even the events of every single one of our lives. There's nothing about our lives that isn't in the Torah, every single piece of our life. There is much more to the Torah than what anyone can fathom. Greater than the greatest quantum computer. Rabbi Gozlan said, the evolution goes as follows. There are human beings dominated by emotion, dominated by intellect, or dominated by spirit. He said, we will explain this with an expression called the evolutionary leap. The evolutionary leap between a man of intellect and a man of spirit is as great a leap from animal to human being. Every creature in the time of Mashiach will experience an evolutionary leap. And he said, we are already inside of this transition. So this is what he's talking about, that certain people will be at the service of people who dedicate their entire life's energy to the spreading of the secrets of Torah. And we see it now. You know, there's people during the pandemic who are so intellectual, so emotional. And then there were people who are very spiritual. And he said that many of us went through many different lifetimes to get to these points. But it's all going to be one symbiotic whole. We're all going to be one whole, serving Creator, just with different jobs. Rabbi Gozlan ended with an amazing thought. He said, what is the greatest quality a human being can have towards God? Can any of you guess? Who's here? We have 28 people. That's pretty good. What is the greatest quality a human being can have towards Hashem? I actually wrote about this in my book also. There's a great quote. I'll put it on my Telegram channel today. But yeah. By Carrie Egan, Eagen, a hospice. I forgot what her job was. Like, she was a hospice worker, and she said, Oh, I wish I knew it by heart. I'll put it up later. So Rebbe goes on, said the greatest quality in a human being towards God is, let me see the guesses. Love, no. Anybody? One more guess? Let me see if I can find that quote. Give me 1 second, you guys. Well, you guys keep thinking. No. None of you got it. Oh, I found it, you guys. You ready? Oh, no, I think I found it. Oh, come on. Okay, here it is. Perhaps the death knell, Knell, perhaps the death knell of love, like that's a bell, the death knell of love is not anger or even indifference. It is losing the desire to know more about your partner. So Rabbi goes on, echoes the same thing, and says, what is the greatest quality a human being can have towards God? It's curiosity. Curiosity. Isn't that good, you guys? Curiosity is love. And Rabbi goes on, said, the worst quality is apathy. Apathy is the death of curiosity. And the truth is that when you are so curious to know the inner workings of any human being, ooh, that is being in love with them. To know why they're doing what they're doing, what makes them tick. All right, you guys, thank you so much. This was such a beautiful class. Thank you. I think that we inspired the heavens. Maybe we inspired Akadosh Baruch Hu to come to the vineyard, to come collect us. He sees our good deeds and he knows our heart is in it and he knows we are ready. Hashem, we're ready. Hashem! I taught my grandson to say, thank you Hashem! He looks up at the sky with me. I love you guys. We will do this again on Thursday. We will do chapter 7 of Shir Shirim. Have a wonderful week, you guys.